Hello,
All
craft
right.
beer friends, and welcome to Season 10, Episode 11 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How are you doing tonight, Chris?
I am doing pretty damn good, Denny. It's nice. It's a Monday. I'm not tired jumping
Oh,
into the
good.
show. So, something weird's happening. But doing great this evening. And am I breaking up?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. So it's
This
funny.
is common. This is common with Chris.
I'm watching the Yeah, so like I'm not watching any signal change on my end either. But doing well, doing well. And You want to introduce people, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you want me to do it, or you want
You
to do
let's have you do it in case I break up.
Okay, well, we do have some special guests on this episode. Two brewers, head brewers, at least at one time, from Church Street Brewing in Chicago, in near Chicago area, Illinois. So we have Sean and Chuck.
Yeah. So you're in Idaho, you're saying, Denny?
I am, yes,
There
I'm
was
in
a
Boise.
Hey, Sean, what was that brewery in Idaho that Mark used to hang out at a lot, that we did a collab with? Is that Home Brewing?
I don't know.
I don't remember. It
I wasn't
was.
back
I think it
yet.
was something like that. Anyway, go ahead. I
Oh,
digress.
no problem, no problem. But yeah, we're glad to have you on. We learned about Church Street Brewing when we had one of your former employees and big super fan Chet Brett on
Hmm.
the on the show, and he had nothing but great things to talk about you. We put out the hint out there that hey, we would love to chat about Church Street Brewing, find out a little bit of history, find out about the beers you brew, taste some beers, and guess what? We have all that coming up now. We ask and we received.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go ahead. Right now we don't have any. Well, at least two of us don't have anything in our glasses. We're gonna go ahead and do a
Yeah,
tasting
we'll
in
work
just
on
a
that.
minute. But and we'll put some beer in our glasses. But before we do that, let me just go ahead and introduce the show real quick, and then we'll talk about your guys' craft beer journeys and drink some beer. So again, before we get started, I always like to let anyone new to the show know what Tap to Craft podcast is all about. We are an educational podcast focused around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journey and adventures. You are listening to episode 245, recording on Monday, December 11th, 2023. And yes, we are live on Facebook. And if you would like to join us during our recording session sometime, you can do that on the Monday prior to release at 8:30 Eastern Time. And in this episode, like I already kind of mentioned, we're going to learn about Church Street Brewing. We're also going to learn about Sean and Chuck's craft beer journeys, as well as doing some beer tastings, and of course, having some great beer conversation along the way. And Chris and I would like to thank our Patreon supporters because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, Bill Schlemmer, Kevin and Amanda Argauer, Mike Blanchard, Tara Carlson, Jim Kutzel, Alex Fuchs, and Mark Reedy, who are our virtual producers, Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Jalen Massa, Mark Church, and Eric Gronley, who want to buy us a virtual beer. And if you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can find all these options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. All right. Now that I got that out of the way, and now that I'm super thirsty because I just got done talking away, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our first beer tasting. And because, Chuck, you already have this beer in your glass, we're going to go ahead and start off with the Heavenly Helles, which is a Helles lager coming in at 5% ABV.
And of course, it's got green on the sticker, so you get to see through my beer labels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so the green screen throws it off.
You got the green screen there. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, he has a green screen. Mine's not. Mine's a real. I like to collect bottles and all kinds of beer stuff. So mine's real, which is nice. Yeah,
a lot of our branding has sort of a stained glass look to it.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
so you can spot it fairly easily.
Yeah.
So this is the German light lager. Helles is their lighter lager, the lighter end of their lagers anyway.
Okay.
And so this is going to be not as hoppy as a Pilsner. It's going to have a little bit of a softer character all around to it. It's intended to be very drinkable. It's
Very clear too.
It's fairly
Very
clear.
clear.
That one actually, yeah, I think we usually filter it. Sometimes if it really clears out, we won't. But it just depends.
Yeah, lots of bubbles too. Effervescent.
Yeah.
Very much. Okay.
Okay.
So that one, Sean has tweaked that recipe over the years. I think he's got it dialed in pretty good now.
It smells good.
He can probably tell you a little more about it currently than I can.
Sure. Yeah, I can jump in. So it's a pretty simple beer, as with most light German lagers. So vast majority of the beer is Pilsner malt. We use a lot of imported German Pilsner malt. Kind of depends on the brand, depending on what time of year it is and what we can get imported. But every beer ends up with German Pilsner malt, goes into the mash tun at kind of like a beta rest. We do have a decoction capable brew house. So Helles always gets a single decoction, and then over to the boil kettle. We're first wort hopping all of our lagers now because we think we can get a little bit more hop flavor without any kind of astringent bitterness taking over. Helles is never going to be that bitter. It's only like 15 IBUs, but we do still first wort hop it, and then it gets a very, very small flavoring addition and fermented with our house German lager yeast. So pretty simple beer overall, but it's most of the brewer's favorite kind of go-to beer.
Yeah, no, it's, for one thing, it smells fantastic.
And that seems to be the trend for a lot of folks that we talk to in the, especially in the production side of it. They're just like, I want a lighter beer that we can drink and not just get palate fatigue and enjoy it. And it's beer flavored beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was originally Church Street was going to be just a lager brewery, and we were going to only make this beer and put it in bottles and ship it out the door. And everything's much different, but that was the original plan.
Okay. Okay. So, great lager, by the way, super crisp, refreshing, clean. I love all the bready notes that I get off of the malt. Not too sweet, which is also a pleasant thing. And sometimes lagers can come across a little bit sweeter than normal. This one is just right, and then actually finishes with a nice little dryness in the finish too, which is also pleasant to make it that more crispy character. Really, really enjoyable Helles.
Yeah.
And if this would be your only beer, I think you'd be successful selling this beer.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Is this one of your? I mean, if you had a flagship beer, I don't know if you guys do have flagship. Is this one of your flagships?
That's the one. This
The
is
one.
the vast majority of our volume is Helles. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
I can see why. So how many
out there for a second, Chris?
I said I could see why.
Oh, okay.
I can see why it's the majority of their production. I mean, are you guys, you said that was kind of like your only, or your one, are there other beers that you guys produce a lot of?
Yeah, we have
just
kind of a core lineup that's this Helles, and then we have our Session Hazy IPA, and then we have Blueberry Sour, Devil's Advocate, which is a Belgian Golden Strong, and then we have an American Red Ale. So that kind of makes up the core lineup. The vast majority of that is Helles, the Session Hazy, and the sour lineup.
It's a nice, diverse lineup too.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, taproom has 40 beers on tap, so we got a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
all yours?
Beers. All your beers.
All ours.
That's impressive. That's a lot of brewing.
Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, keeps us busy.
Yeah. So we understand you guys just came back from Lagerfest. Is that true?
It is.
Yeah.
Got back yesterday.
What was that in? That was in Denver area or
St. Louis?
St. Louis. Ah, nice. So was it any
Urban
kind of
Urban Chestnut Brewing.
Okay. And it was a festival just held by that brewery, just bringing in other places, other people that do good
Yeah.
lagers
I
and
think they,
such.
they had 8 lager breweries that they had picked out
Oh,
that they wanted. And then they sold a limited number of tickets, mostly lager fans.
oh yeah.
So
Do you feel lager fans are becoming a higher number recently than the last few years?
they seem to be selling more. It seems to be trending that way. It's hard to
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah. We've been promoting for the last probably, what do you say, Chris? 7 years. We've been promoting lagers to come back, and then all of a sudden they started coming back because everyone loves to have all the trendy beers and things that the new stuff. But it got to a point where my palate, especially, just got tired of all that change, and I started gravitating more towards flavored beer, and really hit the lagers strong, and realized, wow, there's a lot of breweries now that they're still putting out all those IPAs and the stouts and all the fancy pastry stuff,
It's
but
good to have variety,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
But they, yeah, but they all, but then they start putting out lagers, and I really appreciated that. Going back, I've been drinking craft beer, for 30 years, and and I started on lagers, right? That's what the main thing, a lager, a golden ale, maybe a brown ale or a porter. That's what they were brewing back then, and I really enjoyed the lagers. And I found IPAs and got on an IPA kick for a long time, and because it had that flavor. But now it's gone completely 360, and I really do appreciate very drinkable, uh, flavorful lagers that are different
I
than what
kind of
the domestic stuff is.
I kind of had the same experience, Denny, as I started out supporting American industrial beers a long time
Hmm.
ago, then started getting into the craft lagers, and then discovering pale ales and IPAs.
Hmm.
And then what happened at some point as I got older, my stomach couldn't quite take the acidity of the IPAs. And I
Exactly.
started, trending back towards lagers again.
Hmm.
It's kind of went like that. But I think it's good to have both because they accentuate you can, I mean, if you just keep drinking the same style over and
Hmm.
over and over again, it gets dull.
Yeah,
Your palate gets kind of dull to that. So sometimes
exactly.
it's not to, drink like a stout or something dark and then drink an IPA next to it just to get
Hmm.
the contrast.
Yeah,
And then maybe clean it up with a lager, or maybe go the other way. You start with a lager and so on and so forth.
yeah.
So
That's the way I work. I try to keep a good variety in my fridge, and there may be days like in summertime, I may want to drink just lagers all day because it's hot and I want to be refreshed. But like right now in wintertime, I love mixing it up. Start off with a lager, go into something a little bit, pale ale, maybe a hazy or something. Give me a little hops, and maybe finish off with a porter, nice brown
yeah.
ale. Something that kind of rounds it out without over. I also got into the sour stuff for a short period of time back,
Mhm.
10 years ago. But as you mentioned, as you get older, my stomach, and my esophagus, can't handle that acidity in very, very much, right? I can do small doses of it, but if I do, I'm never going to be able to drink, especially back in the day when all the sours came in 22 or 25-ounce bottles. It seemed like I'm like,
Yeah.
who's drinking these things in such volume, right? You just can't. I mean, I can't even think about drink. I have a couple sour bottles that I'm waiting for a party to happen so I can have open them up and drink them because I'm not going to drink you know even 16.9-ounce bottles. Is hard for me to drink a whole one by myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All
You
right.
got a
Well,
nice bottle back there.
oh, thanks. Yeah, you can't. I mean, people aren't putting stuff in 22-ounce bottles anymore, so
Yeah.
I got to make sure I
Well,
keep my collection going. All right, Chris, you have anything else? I already mentioned this is a great lager. I
Yes.
really am thoroughly enjoying it. Chris, you have any comments?
I mean, you touched on everything that I was going to bring up. Solid. No, and like I said, no wonder this is one of, or if not your biggest production beer. This is fantastic, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now? What hops are you using to finish this with?
We mostly do Tettnang, so the vast majority of the Tettnang are
That's
Tettnang.
what-
That's what we have contracted, but we
okay.
will, as long as it's available, throw a little bit of Hallertau in there.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking it might have been Tettnang because I do enjoy that hop, but I wanted
Yeah.
just to make sure I wasn't going crazy. But yeah, that's another reason why this is so good for me because I do love that hop. It's a really good
Yeah.
one.
I think that's all of our favorite German hops. So
Yeah.
it's the only one we bother contracting anymore.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we don't want to keep you all night. I could talk about all kinds of stuff, but we're going to move on with the show here and talk about your craft beer journeys. I know, Chuck, we just talked a little bit about your, how you evolved around in your beer journey, but we're going to go a little bit, ask some more pointed questions here. So I'll start off the question. Uh, and again, we like to hear people's craft beer origin stories. So how did you guys discover craft beer?
All right, who wants to go first on that one?
I'll let
I'm
you go,
going to
Chuck.
talk for a long time, Sean. Why don't you go first?
All right. Well, mine was pretty easy. It was my parents were the ones that opened up Church Street, so I was,
Oh,
I guess, a freshman in high school when they were kind of really looking at opening a brewery and looking at buildings and looking at equipment. And then by the time I was a junior in high school, Church Street was up and running on our current brew house, and a lot of our current fermenters. It has expanded since then, but we opened up a pretty large production brewery when I was 16 and kind of started working there right away. So that's how I got into it. And I was a swimmer for a long time. I did some lifeguarding, other stuff like that, and hated it and just wanted to be back at the brewery. So ended up back at the brewery.
okay. So your dad was the guy that got the homebrew kit were you the one that bought the homebrew kit for your dad?
That was my older brother.
Your older brother?
But
Okay.
actually, he just came back to the brewery as well. He's doing a lot of our marketing and stuff like that. But my older brother was, I don't know what year, but he was at West Point
Oh,
and couldn't really get any beer. So he was, I think, secretly making some beer in the
Nice.
barracks. So he really enjoyed it and then ended up getting a homebrew kit for my dad for Christmas. And yeah, my dad loved it. And almost within a couple months, he was starting to make lagers in the fridge in the garage.
yeah.
And that kind of snowballed into Church Street.
Yeah.
So
Now,
now we have Church Street.
did you get to sample the homebrew back when he was making those first beers?
A little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And then he traveled a lot for work, so he would
Oh.
bring European beers home.
Okay.
So that was always good to try something other than typical beers you'd get around here back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'd be in Germany and Belgium quite a bit and bring some beer home. So that was always good.
All right. Excellent. That's a good origin story. How about you, Chuck? What's your origin story?
Well, when I was 12, I started collecting beer cans, and that's when I used to start. I'd find a full one once in a while. Suppose that was my first beer. I brewed a batch in 1985 once, and it wasn't that great, but we drank it. But in 1990, when I bought a house, I thought, I'm going to try this again, but this time I'm going to do a little research and so on and so forth. So I had joined a beer club and had some other people mentor me and so on and so forth. And so I improved. I graduated from industrial beers and started drinking craft beer probably about 1990 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Commercial beers might be Sam Adams Boston Lager.
Mm-hmm.
Pete's Wicked Ale was around back then. And I liked that. They didn't last a long time, but they were pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, I guess I was working at United Airlines, and then 9/11 happened, and then that gig went south after that. So that's when I started seriously getting into brewing. And then when Church Street came around, I was doing the tap room and festivals. And then I became assistant brewer and then head brewer for a while. And when I was head brewer, Sean was taking on a project down in Cincinnati. And so we were watching him progress. And then at some point, I was getting tired of doing all the head brewer duties, and realized Sean had a lot of skills, not just as a brewer, but also in welding, everything else a brewery needs. So, and he was looking to come back, and I was looking to dial back some of my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working part time now, and now he's the full-time head brewer, and he's been that since I think 2021. Is that right? Something like that.
Yeah. June of 2021, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Well,
Wow.
So Sean, you were kind of like forced into it. You're like, okay, well, it's what I know now. It's just everybody we're brewing beer as a family. So that's what we've got. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then with Chuck, it was kind of like you almost fell into it. You're like, I feel like everybody and their brother who has either worked in a brewery or started one, they all started because they got a home brew kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's interesting how home brewing and then commercial brewing are just kind of tied together in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you guys were to pick one, what do you think you would say was your gateway beer? And I feel like this is going to be a kind of an obvious choice for Sean, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially with Dad bringing beers back from Germany and Belgium and stuff.
I don't know. For me, it was just, I mean, I was drinking industrial beers, and then somebody bought me a Sam Adams Boston Lager,
Mm-hmm.
and I drank it. And next day or two, I kind of thought about it, and then the next week or so, I went somewhere and they were serving it. And so I decided I was just going to drink that tonight. And I drank maybe 5 or 6, I don't know how many. But anyway, the next day I was tired, but I didn't have a headache. And I was like, what's up with that? I thought that was just standard, I didn't understand it at first. And I thought about it. I was like, But then, after that, it was like some of the other stuff, like the Pete's Wicked and the Sierra Nevadas and this and that. And I was tired of headaches. So I was done with the industrial beers. So that was me.
Were you living in the same area back then, or were you living somewhere else in the
I
country?
was in DeKalb, Illinois, which is where NIU is, which is where I went to college.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Nice. All right, Sean, how about you?
Mine, I remember the first beer that I liked was, like I said, I'd get samples here and there at dinner or something. But my dad came back from Belgium with a Duvel, and
Oh, yeah.
that was the first beer that got poured out for me that I really liked. So that was that was the starting point, which they didn't like. Yeah, it was a kind of Church Street heavy.
Yeah.
In the high school years.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So that's another thing is, especially back in Chuck's and my time, a lot of the foreign, the imports were like, before we had really a lot of craft offerings, those were what was considered like special beers. And I mean, even import from Canada, which I look back and some of the Canadian beers that I was drinking before I started drinking craft beer really weren't that great, to be honest with you. I didn't really appreciate those Canadian beers as much as I appreciated the the craft beer, the American craft beers that were just made with better ingredients that didn't give you a headache, which is much better. And so so it is. It's interesting, Sean, that your entry basically was a import. And a Belgian import, because Belgian beers can be off-putting to some people because it has so many flavors to it that aren't normal in the beer.
Yeah, I feel like we're one of the last ones that has a flagship Belgian Golden Strong. I mean, not many people making that style anymore, but luckily for us, it keeps chugging along. I mean, we don't make a ton of it, but we make it 5, 6 times a year.
Good. Do you do a dark Belgian Strong as well, or just a golden? Dark Belgian Strong is like my favorite style. I love that style.
Yeah. I don't know. It could come up in the future, but okay, you can make Belgian beers, but selling them is another story.
That's
Really,
true.
really hard
That's
to
true.
sell, especially the dark Belgians.
Yeah.
So we feel like we're lucky to have one that even moves that fast. So, you know, not going to
Well,
fate
keep up with what
bringing
you
in the
got.
second
Yeah.
one.
All right. So let's go into what style did you once dislike, but have grown to appreciate over the years? Why don't you start with you, Chuck?
Style I once disliked. That's a tough one. Oh, okay. I guess you know what? Maybe, but it's just because you get like the wrong thing or something. It's like, way back during industrial days, I think I got adventurous and bought a Guinness, and it was like, and it must have just been really old or bad or something. And another thing, and so I never followed up on that. Another thing I never followed up on was green bottled beers. I didn't realize what
Yeah.
the skunkiness was coming from. And I used to
Yeah.
think that was just, I used to think that was European flavor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was just being light damaged by the green bottles.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I don't know what it was. I think it was a Heineken that was an commercial airline can that I was drinking from, and I didn't even recognize it as a Heineken.
Exactly.
I
Same
was
thing
like,
here.
huh. So, I think Heineken's a pretty, decent beer. It's not the greatest, but it's not as horrible as it is when it comes in that green bottle, in
I
my
agree.
opinion.
I agree. Same thing happened to me. I was on it. I had disliked the green bottles myself. Going back to Heineken, going to Rolling Rock when I was on the East Coast, and that
Yeah,
was the big Pennsylvania
that was a
beer.
good, that was an experience. I mean, for industrial beer days,
Yeah.
and but then when they started promoting it in green bottles, it was when yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as it got any light, like I remember going camping. I was in the Navy. I was stationed I was at the sub base in Connecticut, and we went camping and we bought a bunch of Rolling Rock in the green bottles, and it wasn't even exposed to the light like that
Yeah.
much, but it did, and that beer changed so quickly to just like I was started to drink it. I was like, what happened? This beer doesn't. And that's the first time I really understood that. Wow, these beers don't taste good when they get like in the
Yeah,
sun,
yeah.
and so then I stopped drinking Rolling Rock at that point. It just wasn't it wasn't good in the bottle
Mm, I
for
know.
sure.
I know.
How about you, Sean?
I think mine was probably sours,
Okay.
off-putting flavor at first, but now I mean like an unfruited wild sour is probably one of the go-tos.
Mm.
Go somewhere that's
Really?
going to be
That's a heck of a stretch,
yeah.
Yeah,
especially the wild
no
ones.
fruit.
No fruit.
Yeah, straight acid.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
that's a challenge.
Keeps your insides clean.
Uh, is there a yeah is there a beer that makes a sour that you enjoy? Is it
One that's coming
like
to
a
mind right now
Canadian
is we were
one that
just in
you?
St. Louis and we stopped by Second
Mhm.
Shift. He had a
Oh
Food or
yeah,
Age Saison that was awesome. It was
Yeah.
one of the better beers I've had in
Yeah.
a long time. I mean, everything you want out of a Brett beer. Um, it was really, really, really good.
yeah. All they do is mix culture, right? They don't do anything clean. Everything
No,
is.
he had a bunch of stuff. He
Oh
had mixed
really?
culture, he had lagers, he
Uh-huh.
had stouts, he had
Oh,
IPAs,
okay. I
good
was
lagers
thinking they
too.
just did mixed. Okay.
No, he had a little bit of everything. We were just passing by, and we were like half mile away, so we stopped in. And it was one of the better breweries I've been to in a long time.
Nice.
Yeah, he had a
Nice.
lager. He had a California Common that was really good as
Oh
well.
wow.
A lot of other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. That's good to hear.
So, do you guys have a favorite beer style that you go for? I mean, Sean, are you stuck on that? Hey, that unfruited wild sour is just a go-to, and that's still messing with my head right now.
No, the go-to is probably still pale lagers. I mean, if there's Helles or Pilsner, I'm gonna get that first. But yeah, the unfruited sours are pretty close behind.
What about you, Chuck? There is a beer style that you'll go for it every time?
Yeah, I dial in on the Pilsners. we got a Pilsner at Church Street that when we dial that thing in, it's just incredible. And but you know, if I end up at Binny's and it's an emergency or something, I'll go to the Germans and look for either a Velton's or a Bitburger or maybe Dop if I can find that.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to skip the next question because you guys already answered it.
Yeah.
You guys both did well on that. It was what led you to brewing, so we kind of already got that history. I'm going to go down to my next one, Chris, just to go in here and ask, is there a brewery or a beer style that is no longer around that you wish would make a comeback? A style or a brewery that's no longer around that you'd like to see come back?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
You know what kind of got me started brewing is I used to like to drink Augsburger.
Oh.
Which I don't know why. But when they got rid of it, it just pissed me off that I had such a lack of control over this situation.
Yeah.
That's when I decided I was just going to start brewing myself and have control over the situation, you know?
Yeah, take control.
So, yeah, I mean, but I can't really think. It's kind of sad that Anchor Steam went under, I suppose.
Yeah, that was going to be.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't really think of anything.
Okay. No, a lot of people would say, I think our last brewer also said Anchor Steam. It was new because it's just happening. It is, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I probably didn't help them stay around because they distributed to Boise here and they had a lot of different varieties. And I would only pick up, a 6-pack here and there. But I always picked up their holiday ale, right? I mean, I would pick up cases of that.
Yeah.
And so I drank a lot of that. And then now that they're gone, and even when they announced that they weren't going to have the holiday ale again, I just, like, my heart sunk. I'm like, what? I love that beer. Every year, a little bit different, but always they knock it out of the ballpark every year. There was not one year that they didn't hit it, perfect. And it is sad that that's gone. I'm still hoping that somebody somehow, somewhere can purchase the rights to that and brew it. Maybe Church Street.
Well, the style lives on, in a way.
Yeah, it lives on. I love winter ales, like winter ales and winter warmers, and drink a lot of them now. I drink every one I can get because I love the style. But there was still something special about the way they brewed theirs that just was just the right amount of spices to it, just the right amount. I mean, everything was balanced well. Do you guys do you guys do a winter ale?
Yeah, I suppose we're going to do a lager pretty soon, a collaboration. We're going to call it a winter bock.
Okay.
So, and it's not going to be a doppelbock, just bock. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people just go straight to doppelbock. We're just going to do bock.
Yeah, there's been a lot more bock beers as well. In fact, what, Chris, we just had we were talking about Hellesbock, and I hadn't had a Hellesbock until all of a sudden I had 3 different breweries that were producing a Hellesbock, and I'm like, well, this is odd. That's a beer that I hadn't had before, and I appreciate the fact that a little bit bigger in the alcohol, but not too big, and flavor. Those are also good. But I like the idea of the winter lager bock. Is it going to be some slightly darker malts in there as well?
It's going to be it's going to be right down the middle as far as what bock is. Just
okay.
Hellesbock, or sometimes it's called Maibach, it's going to have a really deep golden color. But bock should be maybe just a little bit darker than an Oktoberfest, like a Dunkel. In fact, if you look at Dunkel and bock and Doppelbock, bock is right smack in the middle between those two. Should be.
Yeah. The only problem with Doppelbocks is they can get carried away with that sweetness and the alcohol.
Oh, it's the very high end. It's the big end. They're big and sweet and everything.
Yeah.
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 So no, Bach will not be like that.
Okay.
So it'll be, like I said, somewhere between those two.
Okay.
A little bigger than a Dunkel, smaller, sometimes way smaller than a Doppelbock. Like a Celebrator Doppelbock is
Yeah.
pretty big.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be close to that.
Okay.
No.
Sweet.
So guys, kind of right now, is there is there a brewery that you guys look at and admire, or that kind of inspires you guys to produce some of the things that you do?
Oh, yeah.
All
We were
right,
just
let's
at
hear it.
Urban Chestnut. That was pretty inspiring, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I'm sure as with as many breweries as there are even in the country, I mean, you could look at one, you go to an event, you go, yeah, that one's pretty awesome. And then
Yeah.
2 weeks later, the same thing could happen. That was we could take some information and ideas from there as far as inspiration goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I could say it'd be a pretty nice segue into the next beer, but Riggs down in Champaign is a
Yeah.
really, really cool setup. Matt brewed for Faust in Germany for a long time. Grew up in Champaign, brewed for Faust in Germany, and then came back to Champaign. And they bought an old softball complex, put the brewery in the central building, and have this massive beer garden out back.
Mm.
And he grows and malts his own corn, wheat, and barley.
Wow.
And on the next beer, we used his barley as the base malt. But I mean, he makes a fairly small selection of really, really, really good German style lagers and sells almost all of them on draft super quickly, which is, I think, would be really almost anybody's goal nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Packaging such a headache, and trying to keep on top of beer being fresh on shelves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You got to just avoid it and sell everything fresh on draft. I mean, that would be the dream. And that's kind of what he does. And he makes really good stuff. He was down at Lagerfest. But yeah, that was one where it's like, kind of looking to, do some of the things that Matt does. Not that we really have a setup like that.
Yeah.
To do
No.
too many similar things.
No, it's always good to have inspiration when seeing what someone else is doing and then trying to emulate it. That's great. It's good. You got to have that. You can't just be stuck in a rut and brew the same stuff over and over. You got to have some inspiration as well.
Yeah.
Well, Sean, you did a great segue into our next beer tasting because my glass is empty, so
Same.
it's time to go ahead and go for this Golden Elf Golden Lager. Again, beautiful artwork. I love the stained glass look of your artwork that goes across all of the cans that we have here. It's fantastic. And this is a American Golden Lager coming in at 4.8% ABV. And I wrote down what you guys had here on the website and on the can. It says it's to celebrate Church Street's 11th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah, you brewed this
Thanks.
lager in the style of a German Pilsner, but with American ingredients. And something interesting, this is called Golden Elf, and elf in German is 11. Who knew?
The Germans
Something
did,
new every
Denny.
day.
The Germans knew.
Yeah, so, and as you mentioned, it says, a shout out to Riggs Beer Company in Champaign, Illinois for their delicious grain, and Hophead Farms supplied the Michigan-grown hops as well. So you got a lot of kind of local, regional ingredients here. So that's great. So let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and crack this open. If you want to talk about it, Sean or Chuck or whoever wants to give us some more.
Let Sean talk about this one.
Is this his baby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to make we've always had a German Helles, and then Chuck's Pilsner at Church Street is more of a Czech style Pilsner. We haven't had the opportunity to make more of a, bitter, dry German style Pilsner yet. So this is made kind of in the ballpark of a North German Pilsner. So it's going to be pretty dry, pretty bitter, and have like a big, not compared to an IPA, but for a lager, a fairly big hop aroma, fairly big hop presence. But once again, first wort hopping to really cut down any sort of like soapy lingering bitterness. So it's 30 IBUs, but it's a nice clean cut bitterness. And Matt's grain is pretty intense flavor wise, so it actually holds up pretty well to the hops. And so you end up with really a nice balance. I thought it was going to be more hop forward when we first brewed it. Really, it ended up pretty balanced.
It smells hop forward.
Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
has a different aroma than your Helles.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to make it different.
But still super here. Not as bulls as the Helles. A little bit lighter in the effervescence there.
Ed's a little thicker on
yeah.
this one though. It's sticking around a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
All right.
protein in his grain. It's a little bit under modified, pretty high in protein. So this one got a double decoction. Luckily we have the
you aren't
ability to do
kidding.
that.
This has a really nice malt flavor that blends right into that bitterness too. That is very very pleasant, very crisp. That dryness to your mouthfeel too. It's really quite different than the beer we just had, which is nice. I like to have different.
Looks similar.
Yeah, it looks similar, but it's not the same beer, which is great.
That's what. Yeah, we've got 3 pale lagers right now between this, the Czech Pils, and the Helles, and they're all completely different.
Yeah. No, this is great. This is another very drinkable beer that and it's not too hoppy or bitter as well. It's perfectly balanced. I love the fact that I smell it and I think, okay, it's gonna have, I'm gonna get that hop character, and I do, but I also get that malt right up front that is a nice. It really works well with the hop flavor and makes a really pleasant drink.
Yeah.
Was there
we had
anything?
a couple techniques there. Once again, the first wort hopping kind of cuts down on cohumulone, which will give you that kind of like lingering soapy bitterness at the end of a beer. So we try to avoid that as much as possible. And then we did also drop the temperature of the whirlpool, and we added a lot of the aroma hops. So didn't isomerize as much of those hops either. So it ends up being, a lot more hop aroma without the IBUs.
Yeah.
I just like how this breaks down, which is like you'll taste a beer sometimes and then you have to kind of separate flavors in your mouth where you get the malt and the hops, and then you're just kind of like, oh, well, I take this flavor out of this one. For me, when I drink this, it's malt first, and then it kind of separates itself, and then you get some of the hoppiness, and then you get the bittering of the hops at the very end, and then it kind of all just disappears because of being a little drier. All that you get that lingering bitterness in the back
up in Chicago too.
Yeah. So it's really nice. I like this.
Yeah, and we're lucky to be brewing with like really soft water too. So
so
that makes it kind of disappear like that.
Yeah. Do you? So you don't do any kind of conditioning of the water, or do you? Do you condition?
We've got Lake Michigan water, so it comes in pretty damn soft. But we do have like a small softener and then a huge whole house carbon filter that it goes through. So tiny bit of conditioning, but I mean that Lake Michigan water comes in pretty good.
Okay, so you don't have to add any other minerals or anything to it to soften it further or harden it any.
Yeah, I mean, for beers that we want to harden the water, it's always easy to harden it. But I mean, it's just lucky to, like Chuck was saying, I had a last brewery was down in the Cincinnati area, but on the Kentucky side of the river, dealing with really hard water down there. Really hard to take stuff out of it when it's coming in hard. But I mean, when it comes in soft, you can always add the minerals back. That's easy.
Yeah. What were the comments on these beers when you were at that festival this weekend?
Helles kicked really fast. And then we had this beer and we had the Czech Pils. So the Czech Pils was only on for like the last hour. Unfortunately, we only had a 2-tap jockey box and 3 beers. So we had to wait for something to kick. So Helles went really fast. This one, I don't know, maybe a couple ounces left in the keg. It didn't quite kick. And then, the Pilsner was doing pretty well. That was kind of at the tail fest.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Chuck would know more about what people were saying on the Pilsner.
Yeah, there were some fans, uh, especially like Mark Nasky fans that wanted to try it. And so he was kind of a mentor of mine. He was kind of popular down in the St. Louis area. He actually moved out to Boise, but um, he's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But I'm sure if he'd have been in Boise a little longer, then you might have met the guy.
I might have. And you said he was brewing here?
He was helping out a little bit.
Yeah.
Family 2C.
Was it
Family
home?
2C? Oh, Family 2C.
Oh,
family,
we've talked about them plenty of times.
They went out of business, which is sad because I never had a beer that wasn't like, of all variety of styles, they nailed like every one.
That was one of his hangouts. That was one of his hangouts. Yeah.
So yeah. So so that brewery is in Nampa, which I'm going to tell you, it's about, I think, what is it, 14, it's about 20 or so miles away. It doesn't sound like that far away, but getting there from where I'm at is a pain in the ass. And so, and all the bad traffic is going that direction. And then, so it's a brewery that I didn't visit as often as I wish I could have, but every time I visited it, I'd go to the beer tender and say, man, tell your brewer that he is knocking these beers out of the park. I mean, I was never disappointed, whether it was a Belgian style, whether it was a super light, like a super light lager, or a heavier lager, or a stout. No matter what the style, the guy just knocked it out of the ballpark and just was like, everything was like perfect. And
yeah, Mark had his hands in that a little bit, and we did a collaboration with him. It was an alt beer, I believe, or no, maybe not an alt. It was now.
They do have an alt beer that was good as well.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
I'm just waiting for Denny to go, yeah, the bottle's right here on the wall.
No, they didn't bottle. They didn't bottle. It was all on draft. You had to go to the brewery to drink it. As far as I know, unless you can buy bottles there, but I never saw any bottles. It was always on draft. It was a small brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that that they just didn't get enough. You know, they had their regulars, but they, you know, it's hard to stay in business, especially after COVID.
Yeah, COVID probably killed it off.
Yeah, and they were still going, and like I said, every time I visited there, I'd come on the show and I'd just say, man, I went to Family 2C Family Brewing, and again, and I'd list like 4 beers I had that were just like fantastic. And I don't drink tasters, I drink full beers. And when I go and I drink 4 pints at a brewery because because their beers were all styles I want to try, and then I just want to try the next one and see if it can beat out the other one. That says a lot that they make some good, some good beers. So this cheers to 2C Family Brewing, who's no longer with us. I wish they were good.
Denny has very stringent tasting rules when it comes down to the beers he tries. If you get just a little taster, that doesn't count. If you get a 5-ounce pour like you get on a flight, that doesn't count anymore. It's got to be a full beer or nothing at all.
I'll take 10 ounce. I'll take 10-ounce pours.
Yeah, but that's normally a higher alcohol beer, Denny, that you get in a different class.
But I found out that really you're missing out on what the beer can be if you only have a small amount to taste, because you may taste that 4 ounces or 5 ounces and you may not get, it's okay, it's not that good, but you drink it in a pint and you are able to experience it opening up and having more, getting your taste buds adjusted to it as you're drinking it.
Yeah, man, and you can also see if it builds up on your palate
exactly
in a way you don't like or something. Having a good sit down with the beer is always your best way to judge that.
Give it a talking to.
Yeah. So yeah, I've grown. It's no longer about checking into as many beers as I can. It's more about enjoying the beers that I have in front of me, and that's the key for me is just enjoy the beers that I have. And for me right now, in my fridge, I just go back to the beers that I just like, right? I've seen breweries go out of business because we're not buying the beers and they're making great beers. And so I don't want my local breweries to go out of business. So I try to support them as much as I can by buying the beers that I enjoy and drinking those on a regular so that they know that they're getting that business. And so I've been drinking a lot of beers I just enjoy because, why do it if you don't enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, okay. I think Chris and I are unanimous. This is a fantastic, fantastic lager. Really, really enjoyable. So, cheers to another great beer. Two for two.
yeah, that one's been my go-to lately, I think.
Well, I
Now,
mean, if
now
I
you
read this on the can correctly, it's one single batch and we're not going to make it again, or
That's it.
all
That's
right.
it.
We get to
Never-
partake in history right here on the show.
Yep. It's almost gone too. We got a few sixtels kicking around and I don't know, 20, 30 cases. That's about it.
Yeah, because your anniversary was back in April, right?
No, we did it in like mid-October this year.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's not that. I was thinking that, man, this stuff is really lagered. We're aging it for a few more months.
Yeah.
But even if it was, it still tastes great.
No, we used to do the anniversary in like late September, but it's real busy with
Whoops.
everybody's Oktoberfest party.
Yeah.
So nowadays we do it. I think we did it second weekend in October, wherever that fell.
Okay.
So that's when it
Yeah.
got just under 2 months ago.
Yeah, October just feels like it was last week, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had to push our Stein beer then back a couple weeks. Yeah.
What's a Stein beer?
Yeah. What is a Stein beer?
We brewed it hot.
Oh.
So in the old days, archaeologists can find old sites where people had cooked, because if you just had wooden vessels, you couldn't put it over a fire.
Mm-hmm.
So you heat up rocks and you put the rocks into your vessel and they boil everything.
Oh.
If you're making some kind of a stew, or in this case, if you're making beer, that's how they would make beer in the really old days.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Actually, I think I remember reading about the Stein beer. Now that you mentioned it, and you said the hot rocks, I was like, oh yeah, I remember the hot rocks before.
Yeah.
Well, it just
That's
goes with the beer that we're drinking. And I had one of our listeners, Craig Morrell. He said, "Drink them while you got them." So makes sense.
Yeah.
And then there's a few more people we want to say hello to. Obviously, for Church Street hopped on and liked our show, so that's good. But also Connor Larson up in Maine. Good to see you hopping on here, buddy. Maurice Ryman with Marker 48 Brewing. Always good to see them. And then Kyle Marrero, also with Marker 48, hopped on to say hello.
Hello.
All right.
So we're ready to move on to the next part of it, Denny?
Yeah, let's get into the Brew Buzz. And the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics this week. Like we mentioned, we're going to talk about Church Street Brewing and their righteously good beer. We've already been talking about the righteously good beer, and I have to say, the beer is righteously good.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the information I have about Church Street Brewing. It began when Joe Greger's son decided that his father needed a hobby and bought him a home brewing kit. Joe, being a chemical engineer, enjoyed brewing beer so much he became good at it that he began research and starting his own brewery. We kind of heard a little bit of that history there from you, Sean, from your dad got started. So the first question we already kind of got answered is, how did Church Street, get started? But I'm going to take, Chris, your question here.
Go for it.
What is the story behind naming Church Street? Are you located on Church Street, or is there other significance?
Yeah, not as fun as you might think. It was we're supposed to be on Church Street in a town like 15 minutes south of where Church Street is, down in Addison. Kind of thought we had a deal with the landlord and everything was good to go, and we were going to move into that building. So we had our neighbor, who was a patent lawyer, do the trademarking and got the logo made, and Elvis is actually registered. There's an R on the can, so it was
Oh,
I had a lot of the branding done and Church Street logos, all that stuff made. And then I guess last minute they found a new tenant who required less work to be done to the building, willing to pay the same price. So one day we never heard from them again, and they gave that space to somebody else. So we
Dicks.
ended up on Industrial Drive in Itasca, which didn't have quite the ring to it.
Industrial Drive. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't ring as well.
So yeah, we rolled with Church Street, and that's about it. So we have a little sign in our parking lot that says Church Street. That's about it.
Okay.
Oh, maybe you
Okay.
get the town to change the name.
So I guess I'm kind of curious about if you know the motivation of your dad wanting to start this brewery. I mean, we know that he enjoyed brewing beer. He got good at it. He was obviously told by his family and friends that, hey, you should start a brewery. And then he just decided to start this brewery, or did he need other coaxing? Do you know of the backstory of what actually pushed him into starting a brewery?
I think it was mostly him.
Just
He
him?
really
Just wanted to get
do it.
out of chemical?
Yeah, he was a longtime chemical engineer building refineries in China for the most part. So, well, when I was later on in middle school, early high school, he was probably in China for 6 to 8 months out of the year. Like he wanted to, kind of knew how to build a plant, wanted to open a big production facility and stop traveling.
Yeah.
So this was kind of the retirement project.
Okay. How old was he when he started this?
Geez, I mean, it would have been 11 years ago, so his late 50s.
Okay. Okay. And is he still working at the brewery?
No, he comes in and samples stuff and makes sure everything's still on point.
Quality control. Good.
Like I
Sticking
said,
with that engineer gig.
He designed some massive refineries, so he didn't get like a stock brew house or system from a Chinese supplier. He was in China and made his own drawings and sent them to a Chinese manufacturer. So a lot of his own custom components on the system. So when we run into things that break, a lot of times I got to bring him in because I don't really know.
That's awesome and a pain in the ass all at the same time.
Yeah. What is it you put here? Because it's standard equipment. So it's interesting sometimes when you get into the system, but I mean, it's still running. 11 years on the same brew house, and it's still
The same brew house. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We
So
have
what
questions brew house. We'll save those for later because
Yeah.
I could talk about them now, but I don't want to ruin the anticipation of the brew house talk.
Fair enough.
So Denny, I think this last question in this section is kind of tough, but
Well, go take mine.
Yeah.
Take the one that my next one. The mission.
The mission. Okay. Well, and guys,
I'm sure Sean knows.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping it's been drilled into his head for the last 11 years. What would you guys say the mission of Church Street Brewing is? I mean, how do you guys differentiate yourself from other breweries in and around the Chicago area?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, there's some things that are always sort of a constant, I suppose. I mean, it's a very friendly atmosphere and very family-oriented atmosphere, and we certainly don't have, the monopoly on that, or a lot of people do that too. We've sort of have a church theme, so I suppose that's unique in some. But as far as, I mean, it's more of a lifestyle than a job, I suppose. And I answered your question, but
I mean, it's kind of hard to look at it and go, okay, well, what is the exact mission of a brewery inside of a community, right? So, like, for example, and the fact that you said it was more of a lifestyle, like that's
it was to keep people employed and happy, hopefully, and happy with what they're doing.
It's a good start.
And
I'll write that down.
Just to, as well as, I mean, it's the kind of thing that gets and the rest of the town starts to catch on to it. Itasca isn't a real big town, and you see it signs here and there. Like one time I got pulled over for doing like 23 over the limit, and I really wasn't speeding that much. It's just it was a construction area.
One speed a lot.
But I just got a warning because they knew who I was, and that's when they realize they appreciate you.
Yeah, you sound like you're driving down here in Florida, Chuck. Jeez.
Well, it was 40, but the construction was done, but they hadn't taken the signs down yet, so it was on an interstate. I was going 60, I was going like 63 or something like that. Nothing too scandalous.
Yeah, that's 63. That's a sexy number when it comes to speeding.
Well,
Yeah.
The mission is to get Chuck out of speeding tickets.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so we're gonna get into the beer section now. Now, Sean, this doesn't pertain to you because we know how you got your start. But Chuck, how did you actually get involved with Church Street Brewing? How did they find you, or how did you find them?
How did they find me? Well, I was sitting at John's restaurant in Winfield, which is like our local, and Mark Nasty, my mentor, and I were sitting there drinking beers, and Chet Brett, who you'd mentioned earlier, walked in and had two growlers. He had a growler of the Helles and a growler, I think, of the Scottish ale at the time. And he just sat him down in front of us and introduced us, told us there's a new brewery that does decoction brewing. Now that got our attention right there. And then
why is that?
Well, because you don't see a lot of that. I mean, decoction is for people that are really, passionate of German beers, especially, in my opinion. So when you say that, it gets attention.
It's a lot more work.
Yeah. I was hoping you were going to say I was hoping you were going to say it was because you heard a word that sounded really just messed up, and in my 12-year-old brain I hear the word decoction and it makes me giggle.
It's like, do what?
Yeah.
So okay, so you heard that they were doing decoction beers, and then what you said, hey, I want to come brew for you, or how'd you get
Mark walked in there in first. Send Mark in first, and he worked, and have no old Finnish guy, spent some time in Germany brewing, and then came over here. He decided he liked brewing, commercial brewing. It was a lot of hard work, so he went into IT, but he still brewed and cooked a lot. So anyway, he would go in and he'd walk into a place and he'd go, okay, I tell you, this is like this is the beer right here. I like this beer. And he go, and you know what you do? You go ahead and you do this, and you just tweak this a little bit. And he just works his way in, and next thing you know, he's like giving you recipes for my bar or whatever. And then he never brewed like home brewed in his own place. He always at somebody else's place. So when he was up here, my basement was where he home brewed at. So some of the Church Street beers we brewed down here first, and then ramped them up at Church Street. But anyway, after he went in, I went in, and I just back then when Church Street started, they just mostly worked with volunteers. There's not a whole lot of money going around at first. So I was happy to volunteer. And then over time, the people that stick around are usually the ones you hire.
Okay.
Sort of like a training program, I suppose. So eventually I got hired,
Okay, so it's like a homebrew club that has a professional lead into.
It sounds like you just survived the hazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a real connection between home brewers and the craft beer industry. So
yeah.
Anyway,
all right. Well, is there a specific kind of beer that you like to that you enjoy brewing, or you're just like, hey, a beer's a beer when we put it in our system?
we enjoy lagers because we know how to do them and they're not really complicated. We make other things like fruited sours. We do a lot of contract brewing. And
Really?
contract brewing is challenging. You can learn a lot from it, or sometimes you don't learn anything, depending on who the contractor is. Some contractors know a lot, so it's great working with them. Other contractors know very little about what they're doing, and that's not much fun. So, no.
So
Okay,
you guys,
so-
you guys are missing out on like Chuck life lessons. As he said, first he goes, sometimes you learn a whole lot, and sometimes you learn nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You still learn a lot from the other guys. You just learn what not to do.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm shocked to hear that you do contract brewing when you are keeping 40 beers on tap. How the heck do you have time to do contract brewing if you're still brewing all these 40 beers? What's the secret?
We got a lot of fermenters.
Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, but are you brewing 24/7
No,
around the clock?
we
Yeah.
brew a single shift.
Just one shift, one beer, one batch goes in a fermenter, next day, next. So you pretty much brew then 5 days a week?
When we're rolling, we do 4. We do about 120 barrels a week when we're rolling.
Wow, nice. Nice. Okay. That's impressive. Impressive. All right. So you guys both enjoy brewing lagers because it's easy.
Yeah, I'd say we like lagers, and then he was talking about the Stein beer. Some of those historical styles are really fun too. Trying to make that work on a commercial system, because obviously
Yeah.
we have steam jackets that we could have just used on the Stein beer, but we have to do it the hard way. So
But you put hot rock
yeah,
inside
we got a
the
big
kettle?
hop back outside, and we're recirculating our kettle through the hop back. And
Okay.
meanwhile, during the entire mash and runoff and everything, we've been superheating granite stones in a blast furnace we made out of a 55-gallon fruit drum.
Oh my gosh.
So we get in super early, collect, and kind of wait for people to show up, and then put all these rocks in a big basket, and dunk it into this hop back. It's recirculating the boil, and
Okay.
it turns into a really long, complicated brew day, but pretty fun to pull it off at the end of the day. And I mean, it'll be a couple weeks here we release that beer, so hopefully it turns out well and everybody likes it. But
Is this the
some of
first
those are
time you've
fun.
done a Stein beer?
Second time.
Second time? How'd the first one turn out?
I thought it was really good for a first try, but Chuck and I definitely had a couple of tweaks we wanted to make. It was just, you get so much like Maillard product and caramely kind of flavors out of those. I mean, the rocks are literally glowing
Super
hot.
hot. Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll just scorch sugar and completely change the color of the wort. So we had a few specialty malts in that beer the first time we made it that we dialed way back because it got to be like a little bit overbearing on the caramely
Okay.
side of that beer. And while it tasted good, away from drinking. So you'd have one, and it's like, all right, that's enough of that. Let's go back to Pilsner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that recipe just came straight from Wireman's. And so we just did it straight up. And then after that, it was like, yeah, it was amazing what the rocks did. Initially, we were afraid that the rocks would, explode when you heat them up to 1200 degrees or so and dip them in the wort. There's a danger there.
Shatters into a million
And so,
pieces.
but we found the right kind of rocks. We had to play around a little bit, and that worked out pretty well. It creates a huge steam cloud when you do that, and it's quite impressive. But anyway, we tweaked the recipe. I really like it this year. It was good last year, but it's really good this year, I think. So
Okay, good. So my next question, you've already answered. It sounds like you guys, well, I mean, maybe you didn't answer, but it sounds like you guys specialize, like your main scope of a brewery when you opened up was to be a lager brewery. Produce only the Helles. That's gonna sell everything, but that obviously changed over time. Do you still consider yourself to be a lager brewery, or what kind of brewery do you consider yourself now? You know, or how's it transitioned over the years? Maybe you were lager, now you're producing different beers, different styles. I've got a Russian Imperial Stout. I've got a sour. I've got
Yeah.
2 lagers here right in front of me. So that's a variety of styles.
Yeah, I think it kind of went away and came back. So
Went away and came back.
we started as try to be a lager brewery, and it wasn't what people wanted at that time.
Okay.
We were really in like the heyday of who can make the highest
IPA.
IBU IPA.
Yeah.
So started as a lager brewer. We're never really like an IPA brewer, but we started to branch out to like we brew traditional styles. So he was talking about the Scottish ale, and we
Yeah.
do a lot of English styles, German styles, and we did have like a like a West Coast IPA. So like a lot of more traditional beers.
Okay.
And then we do a lot of contract brewing. So we end up making everything. It's kind of cheating. Like
That doesn't count.
I know.
You
But
may
Yeah.
brew contract beers, but those aren't your beers. I
No.
want to know what you guys like.
Yeah,
to
those aren't
produce.
our beers, but you end up making everything. So, but when you make all these hazies that are really successful around Chicago, it's like, okay, well, why don't we make a hazy and then start making a couple hazies? And I like sours. We tried to make an unfruited sour early on. That didn't work. So now we do all fruited sour. But
The only way you can,
still popular.
what about like a Berliner Weiss? Have you tried Berliner
That's what we
Weiss?
tried. Our very first
Oh.
sour was just a straight up Berliner. It was actually the brewer before Chuck made that, TJ. And he nailed it. I don't know how he did it. I mean, it was almost like lemonade. It was 3%. Had like a really nice citrusy kick to it, but nobody wanted an unflavored sour beer, and it was probably 2015 or 2016. Just a little early on that trend.
Yeah.
People did not like that, so we stopped making it, and then we came back with a fruited sour. And then lately, the lagers have gotten so much more popular in Chicago that for a long time we only made Helles. That was our only lager, and we made all other beers.
Okay.
Now at any given time, you can probably get 8 or 10 different lagers at our tap room.
Okay.
So
Wow.
it's what we want to make, and we're kind of trending back in that direction. We're doing a lot more collabs now, and every collab we've done so far has been a lager. So like Chuck was talking about, the Winterbach was a collab with Brother Chimp down in Aurora. The Steinbeer was a collab with Art History out in Geneva. And then at the end of the week, we're brewing a Schwarzbier collab with
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask about Schwarzbier because that's one of my favorite styles that
Yeah.
you hardly ever find, but I am finding more and more breweries are now brewing Schwarzbiers, and you know what? They're not only brewing them, they're brewing them really well and making them like fantastic beers, which I appreciate, because I also get disappointed when a brewery calls something a Schwarzbier and it's not, it doesn't taste like a Schwarzbier.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited.
How big is the brew house you guys are working in?
We got a 30-barrel brew house. It's 2 vessels. Both have steam jackets. So we mash into the boil kettle with the intention of doing a single decoction on everything. So it goes into the boil kettle first, gets blended there. There's steam jackets there. So like we used to always mash in at a protein rest, go up to your first rest, move 3/4 over, do a single decoction, move that over, and then draw back if you needed to do a double. But for the most part, we're just doing singles nowadays.
Okay. Still a lot of work.
Denny just had like a beer nerd moment. Used all those wonderful terms, Sean.
Well, we did do a show on decoction, I think, explaining it, and it is amazing. And I need to go to Germany and experience that whole process and drink some more beers, because the ones I've had have been really good, but I need more. I hear that once you go to Germany, nothing can like live up to what getting it in Germany and on a authentic.
I hear Chicago's closer.
Yeah, that's true. Just go to Church Street and get a single decoction. Actually, we have them right now though, because these are all single decoction, right?
One single and one double.
Oh, okay. There we go. There we go. And they're great beers. So I guess I don't need to go anywhere. I can stay right here.
You know, a lot of times it's the experience itself where we're at too.
True. That's very true. I say that all the time. I fell in love with craft beer not just because the beer was good. It was the community and the environment of just a fellowship of drinking and interacting and having fun at the brewery.
Yeah.
You know that won me over. You know, I brought my family. We'd go play horseshoes, darts. We'd drink. I mean, we always had a good time, and that just made the whole experience that much better. That got me hooked on craft beer from the beginning. So yeah, it's all about experience. Okay. Um, Out of that, so you brew 4 times a year. I could probably do the math, but I'm not going to try to do the math in my head. How much, how much do you guys brew per year? How many barrels?
We're capped at 5,000.
5,000. So that's the max you can do is five. Okay.
We try to get as close to that as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That's the goal. If we stayed at 120 barrels a week, we'd go over that. But I mean, winter time's a little bit slower. I mean, 120 barrels a week is summertime volume, and decent
Okay.
amount.
How many fermenters do you guys have? You said you definitely have a lot of fermenters, and especially if you're doing a lot of lagers, you got to have those beers fermented for a while. Do you
Yep.
guys have a substantial number?
Yeah, we got 1630s, so it's 30 barrel brew house, and we got 1630 barrel fermenters.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. It's a lot.
A lot of different yeast
There's
strains
there's
all the
a
time.
lot of liquid and stuff moving around in that building.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, one more question that you brought up the yeast. One of the problems, especially with lagers, is you can wear out that yeast. Have you guys had a problem with your yeast getting overworked and having any, off flavors? Or do you catch that early on? Or what kind of stuff do you guys do to prevent your lagers from having off characteristics?
I think it's more of a, Chuck and I always work on the schedule together. It's more of like a timing thing.
Okay.
So we make sure to always, we'll brew Helles earlier than we need it if we have to keep our lager yeast alive and just, let that Helles sit there and lager longer. So it's really, we overpitch. If we're in doubt, we overpitch yeast, and then we always move it in like a really healthy time frame where that beer's not
Okay.
really sitting there at the end of fermentation too long.
How many batches do you use per yeast?
It kind of depends. Tricky with contract brewing. Sometimes in the summer we've probably got 10 plus yeast strains running around between 16 tanks, so it gets real tricky to keep anyone alive. But when we can time it up, I mean, we've gotten double-digit generations out of our lagers.
Oh,
I think we hit 12 on our last pitch.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
it'll be like,
impressive.
yeah, if we can get a couple contract brewers to use that lager yeast, then that's another beer it can go into and get a couple collabs mixed in, and then Helles and the seasonal lagers, and all of a sudden you can start, every 10 to 12 days, another one and another one and another one, and then if you have the tank space and you can have lager sit there or Helles sit there and be cold and crash for 2-3 months, all of a sudden you don't have to filter it because it's so clear coming out of the fermenter.
Yeah.
So a little bit of hopscotch with tanks to get that scheduled in at the time, but later on it kind of pays for itself.
Okay. Oh, nice. Nice. All right, Chris, why don't you go ahead and ask this last question here?
Okay. So you guys have some pretty unique names with your beers. So you got your Golden Elf and your Heavenly Helles.
Well,
I mean,
not just those. I mean, the website I went through and looked at all the names. You have
there's
some
a lot of them. So can you kind of explain the theme and how the names are chosen, or how you guys go about picking those?
Well, usually there's just a palette of or a pad of paper, and people just start writing names down. And one of our guys is a little more creative than the rest of us, and so he usually has quite a few suggestions. And then at some point, we have to sit down and look at them and just go through them all and just kind of brainstorm it.
So
That's basically
you guys aren't the only brewery that I've heard doing something like that. We have a brewery here in Tampa called Tampa Bay Brewing Company, and it's pretty much it. They just write down random words on a dry erase board, and they go, yeah, that one. It's like the throw the dart at it and see what sticks. So that works.
You throw the dart, and after you throw the dart, you Google it and just see how many times it pops up.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just, random name generator or what words you can put in there. Yeah. Because I'm sure it's not easy, especially with, as we talked about earlier, there's so many breweries around the country now. And it's like, okay, well, that name might already be in use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems like you guys stick with the church theme on a lot of them.
Yeah, there is a church theme as well.
Yeah, we try to do a church theme. If not like some alliteration or something. Some of them we kind of can't cram it in there, but yeah, it's Andy's our cellarman that thinks of the vast majority of that list, and then it's his wife that does all of our artwork for us.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Wow, that was a perfect segue, because I was just going to ask you, what about your artwork? Who does your artwork? And like I said, first thing I noticed when I opened the box with the beers was I pulled out the cans. I'm like, I love it. I love this stained glass simplicity, vibrant colors throughout. Really resonated with me. And so, can you talk about the artist a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, it's our cellarman's wife. And I think we kind of started off with pretty generic branding. It was just, the Church Street logo and whatever beer it was in front of it. And it was just a different color for whatever beer that was. And eventually we did a bit of a rebrand, and she does art shows and stuff all over Chicago. I think her artist name, I think she calls herself the Werewolf of Chicago.
Okay.
But yeah, she did a lot of shows, and I think kind of pitched my mom on doing this whole stained glass look for our logo, so it would kind of fit in with the names and fit in with the church theme, and have it kind of pop on the shelves a little bit more. And ever since then, that's kind of what we've rolled with, and I think it's worked really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it works well. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a quick break because I got an old man bladder. But let me take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll finish up a couple questions, do the last drink, beer tasting, and then I'll let you guys go because I know it's getting late. You okay with that?
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay, I'll be back in just a minute.
All righty.
Must be. Oh, it's that. What am I looking at? How's the boiler?
It was brewing.
No.
It was brewing.
That's it.
It was bad.
Oh, gosh.
It's up and running.
That's good.
All right. We're back.
All right.
One more beer.
One more beer.
You want to go into the next beer tasting, or you want to ask these last questions, Chris?
Yeah, both. I mean,
okay, we got a couple last quick questions. Who left off? Did I leave off, or I guess? Oh no, you did it. You did the unique beer names, right? So it's can't keep track. We've already forgotten, and it's just only been a few minutes.
So there
All
it
right,
is. So somebody Church Street jumped on and said shout out to Nikki Elliott. Find her on Instagram at Werewolf of Chicago.
There you go.
There it is.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to ask one question. You asked this last question, Chris. So the next question, we've got two questions left for you. This is kind of in our community section here. We chatted with Chet Brett. He mentioned all the charitable events you guys like to do, and he likes to do as well. And we just want to find out, what are some of your favorite charities that Church Street Brewing supports?
I feel like it's always the local fests are the biggest ones. So we always donate beer and labor to like Lions Fest and what do they call it? The nights. So like the local Summer Fest and the local 4th of July and what's the other one? They're Oktoberfest. We do all those. And those I think are really the charities in Itasca specifically that raise a lot of money and donate something pretty significant to charity of their choice. It kind of flips around what they decide to donate to based on the year. It's always fairly large sum, and then the Lions Club I don't know how exactly they decided. I'm not in the Lions Club, but it'll be a different charity every year, and those fests are slammed and they're slinging so much beer. It's crazy. So those are always good ones. It ends up being, it's unpaid, untipped. So it's truly people, hopefully people from the tap room and my parents and I, and some of the brewers will go by and pour beers or take tickets or switch kegs or just kind of whatever needs to be done. But yeah, those are always really good fests.
I think I saw somewhere on the website about the Pink Boot Society. Is your mom involved in that, or?
Yeah, she's involved with that. My younger sister was involved with that. She was running a brewery out in the Virginia area.
Oh, really?
Three Notched, one of their brew pubs out in Virginia Beach, Norfolk kind of area. So they were both super involved. We did get to brew the Pink Boots one year. Not this past year, but the one before. We got to brew that beer for Illinois. And then we always do the things we don't say and the Black is Beautiful and any of those things, we tend to do them.
Yeah.
Different Not Broken.
Oh yeah, Different Not Broken is another really good one. It's one of our biggest supporters out in the Rockford area. It's like $1 out of every pour and $1 out of every 4-pack goes towards his autism charity. So a lot of people out there picked it up, and like the Rockford Ice Hogs, which are a Blackhawks affiliate, they're serving it this year. So I think that's starting to catch on. We're starting to make that beer more often. So yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what we found is universal with almost like every craft brewery we talk to is all about giving back to the community. And it's I mean, I appreciate, I do a lot of, whenever a local brewery has an event, I try to sponsor, is for some community, whether it's autism or whatever special need. I try to support it as well. It's just nice that we can come together and provide support for all types of needs. So, and I know that Chet Brett, he started his
Brewing Kindness
to help other breweries, get that help to do these events and stuff. I'm really hoping that kicks off and does some, becomes bigger and helps a lot more breweries out in the country.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Chris, one last question.
So since we're an educational podcast, guys, What's the one thing you've learned about working in a brewery, or I guess Sean, kind of family owning a brewery that you want to share with our listeners?
I don't know. Learn. You just want to know about
just
what?
experience, lessons learned, or something that that you've taken away from the experience that that might encourage or discourage other people from jumping from their aeronautical engineering background into brewing.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a unique experience. I mean, going from being a home brewer to a commercial brewer is certainly a big experience. I mean, I suppose as a home brewer, you're always worried about recipes and action and making the beer, and you can get quite good at it. But going commercial is a whole nother story, because it's, you do need to know how to do recipe formulation, but that's actually a kind of a small piece of the puzzle. The rest of it is there's quite a learning curve as far as when you're working in a brewery, you need to know every single sound. If you hear a sound you don't recognize, that
Check it
should
out.
trigger an action of some type. Just things like that, I suppose, that you learn as time goes on.
Be aware.
It's
Situational
very
awareness.
difficult. Brewing is very difficult. It's not something that you can just sort of mail it in. You gotta go all in. Yeah. That's my 2 cents, which they say is worth $37 and change.
Well, with inflation, absolutely.
All right, Sean, how about you?
I got a couple. One quick one for me was, especially, doing my own project down in Cincinnati, kind of learned pretty quickly that like wearing the right clothes and protective gear is real important.
Oh.
I was 21 when they hired me. Started off just wearing regular old shoes and basketball shorts and whatever, because it was comfortable and it's hot in Cincinnati. Hurt myself pretty good a couple of times, so certainly don't learn it that way. Just wear pants, wear boots, wear the right stuff. And then something, since getting back to Church Street, being more of a production brewery where you're making the same beers over and over and over again, just kind of organization and record keeping becomes really important.
Yeah.
That's something Chuck does. He's got every log sheet on every beer we've ever brewed piled away. So if we get a batch of Helles, we really like how it turned out, we can always go back and look at it, something like that. But just knowing all your numbers and what you were aiming to hit, what you did hit, when you did it, temperatures, times, everything like that. When you're never making the same thing, it doesn't really matter. But when you're trying to make Helles taste the same, so that we sell Helles at Walmart. Anybody that goes to a Walmart shelf should kind of know what to expect out of our Helles, and we got to make it taste like that, or more or less like that. We do tweak small things here and there, but we got to have it in the ballpark every time. So that's something that
consistency
I was not great at in Cincinnati, and we're getting better at nowadays.
Well, good. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take you guys off the block, and we'll get back to some drinking some beer here. But thank you very much for sharing both your craft beer journeys and the history of your brewing and Church Street Brewing. We really appreciate that. It's always good to hear everyone's stories. But we got one more beer tasting to do before we let you go. And now we're going to go to the other side of the spectrum and try out this Church Street Sour Razz, a sour ale with raspberry and vanilla. Wow, you not only added fruit to this one, you added some vanilla too to soften that up a bit. Comes in at 6.5% ABV.
Yep.
And this one's a little bit different. You went with a little different label on this one, not quite the I mean, maybe that could be a stained glass, but it looks more like a
kind of a hybrid.
Yeah, pastel, or like a painting, like a watercolor painting. But there is some. I like that blue in the background too.
Yeah.
Okay. It's also a. This is your sour series, so this is something you reproduce year after year, or is this a one batch as well?
Yeah, the sour series is all the same base kettle sour.
Oh, okay.
And then different fruits come out throughout the year. So the most popular flavor is the blueberry. That's going to be a year-round beer starting next year.
Okay.
So we'll always have blueberry, and then like quarterly we'll do a 30-barrel batch of a different fruit. And then we'll come out with some random smaller 5-barrel batches just for like the tap room.
Okay. Your fruit, is it puree, or what kind of fruit do you use in your sours?
Yeah, we avoid flavors. Don't use flavors. So it's all basically it's puree. Tends to be Oregon fruit puree, which is
Oh,
real
okay.
breweries. But we will use a couple other suppliers, depending on what. But pretty simple. It's the same base pale kettle sour every time, and then it's got a pound per gallon of fruit puree. So
Wow.
tends to come out at about 1,000 gallons. We put about 1,000 pounds of in this one raspberry.
Oh, wow.
This smells
Yeah, it
fantastic.
smells like raspberry right off the top. You smell the raspberry.
Yeah, and we let the sour ferments out, and as it's kind of tailing, we add the fruit and then we bung it up, so we get a lot of natural carbonation and pressure based off like the re-fermentation of the fruit. So I feel like we get a pretty intense fruit flavor, even though 1 pound per gallon is maybe not as heavy as a lot of people go. We get some bang for your buck out of that fruit.
Well, by the aroma, it smells like you have a lot of fruit in here. We'll see how the flavor comes out. Wow. I think it's just enough. I think the vanilla tones down. The vanilla definitely tones down the acidity.
Mm-hmm.
Not it's and it
Yeah,
tones down the
vanilla
flavor
helps.
a little bit.
Vanilla helps blend fruit flavors generally at lower levels.
Yeah,
I
this
was
is
I was
definitely a
expect
drinkable sour.
I was expecting a bite, and that vanilla helped out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't take our kettle sours all that low pH wise. It's not an enamel peeler or anything like
I
that.
I
Um,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, Denny's esophagus. Thanks.
My stomach will
Pretty
appreciate it
comfortable.
too. I do have another reason why I had to stop drinking sours as much. Like I said, I drink one a month, maybe two a month if I have them in my fridge. But I do have an esophagus problem where my esophagus sphincter doesn't. It's a hereditary thing. Doesn't close all the way, and it's easy for acid to come back up into my esophagus and cause problems. So another reason why I had to tone back on the super acidic. So I appreciate that this isn't over the top, but I do like the vanilla in here because
Mhm.
it does it blends well with that raspberry, tones down that acid, and it doesn't make it so it's too fruity or
Yeah.
too sour, right? It does a really good job of balancing it and blending it into a really drinkable sour ale, which the main complaint I get with most people that don't like sours is they just don't like that the acidic ness
Yes,
of it.
it gets way too tart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I also have to say, Denny, in 245 episodes, I think this is the first one we've ever said the word sphincter on.
Well,
have to write that down.
That's a scientific term.
It would be scientific if we called it your esophageal sphincter, but
I don't want to get too scientific. I got to keep it down to the layman's. They understand what a sphincter is. Now, of course, they're thinking I'm drinking it out of my ass, but I'm just out here.
Oh God.
No, this is also really well done. What is the base? Have you tried it with just the base, Sean, to see if you can palate it?
Yeah, I mean the base is it's a 2-row. I mean it's just like a 2-row pale sour. We use Omega's lacto blend on it, which is probably about the most common one throughout the country. So yeah, it's like a real kind of run-of-the-mill kettle sour starting off.
Okay.
Because, obviously you kind of you're going to pay for all that fruit puree. You kind of want it to be the star.
Yeah.
So we just kind of let the base beer be. I think if we were ever to do like a Berliner Weiss again or something, we'd have some wheat and a few specialties in there, and do something with the hops and do a little more with the yeast. But on this one, we want the base sour to be pretty straightforward.
Okay. Omega Yeast, that's a Illinois company, right?
Yeah, we were
Okay.
their first commercial pitch.
Oh,
So
really?
we've been using those guys for almost since we opened.
Oh, wow.
They're
Okay,
right in
so
Chicago, so super convenient sometimes.
yeah,
The shipping doesn't work
I
out
thought they
because
were a Chicago company, but
yeah.
I wasn't 100% confident, so I didn't want to come out straight off saying, "Oh yeah," I thought
Yeah,
it was so.
it's nice. When we're in a pinch, Chuck's made a lot of trips over there. He'll just
Yeah.
run and pick up a yeast pitch for us. It's always
Nice.
convenient.
Okay. Did you guys have this on hand, or are you guys drinking this too? Oh, okay.
Oh,
You got one. You got
no,
one, Chuck?
I
Chuck
don't have
doesn't drink the sours.
You don't do sours? Understood. Understood. I'll drink this and I'll go take some Tums to make sure I can sleep tonight without having an episode.
Yeah.
it.
Chuck will
And
have
then
one
you
of those.
said you do a blueberry one that you're going to be making a year round
Yeah,
production.
yeah.
What are some of the other fruits you'd like to get a hold of, or
Mm.
that you already do for these sours?
Yeah.
So we usually start off the year with a strawberry rhubarb.
Mm.
And then so blueberry's gonna be year round. It used to be kind of like a late summer seasonal, but everybody kind of liked that one best, and the distributors were asking for it. So now blueberries all the time, and we're just doing a quarterly seasonal next year. So strawberry rhubarb to start the year off, and then second quarter I believe is going to be blackberry lemon.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
We
Just in
did just
time for summer.
Yeah, we did just lemon last year, and
That's too
I
much.
really liked it, but it was too sour for
Yeah.
some people. Yeah,
Uh,
kettle sour with lemon on top of it, a little
yeah.
too tart. And then we do one of like my sneaky favorite ones is it's got guava and passion fruit, called that
Mm.
tropical sour. We do that at
Mhm.
the end of the summer, and then we do this raspberry for our kind of fourth quarter one.
Okay. I'm a sucker for black currants. I know it's not probably easy to get black currant
That's a
puree,
tart one too, Danny.
but
Yeah,
I just love black currants.
yeah. Might come out like I said, the tank's actually so full we have to pull off a few barrels into our
Mm.
used to be our yeast prop. It's mainly used for small batches now. Um, so we'll pull off a few barrels and do some sort of fruit we haven't used yet, just for like a tap room release.
Hmm.
Helps us keep 40 beers on tap by doing small things like that.
That's
That's
a secret.
incredible, by the way.
But yeah, I mean, a few times a year, every time we make it, we literally have to empty some beer out of the tank to fit all the fruit back into the top of it. So
Oh, wow.
it could be on its way.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
small
Black
batch
currant.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a pina colada last year. We did
How'd you get the coconut? What'd you use for the coconut? Was it toasted coconut or?
uh it was like a somehow they like pureed and emulsified coconut.
Oh, so like
Not
a coconut
exactly sure. It
cream.
was once again back to our contract brewers. He started using
Oh.
it in his coconut beers, and it's I don't know. I'm not a huge coconut fan, but it's tricky to work with, especially in the sours. And
Yeah.
I really don't like coconut flavor. I think it tastes like sunscreen. So it was nice to find something that kind of, you know, at least was made out of real coconut and kind of tasted like real coconut.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the pineapple was just pineapple puree, so that was easy. But yeah, we try to use the real stuff as much as we can. But it does get to be like not quite small enough where it's easy to, get and prepare that volume of toasted coconut and put it in
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
in a sanitary manner.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that anyone that doing mass coconut roasting or um gosh, what was it? I'm trying to remember. Chris, I can't remember who we talked to last time, but that they had to do a lot of batches of roasting or doing something. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember
what
either.
you're talking
Right,
about.
it's been a long night, but usually when we are preparing all this adjuncts to put in that need to be prepped before you actually put it into the beer, can be a challenge. You know, whether it's doing your own puree of some kind of fruit or chocolate or vanilla, whatever it is. It's always, you know, an effort to prepare it. I think it was, I can't remember, but I think it was something about roasting coconut. I swear I remember it, roasting coconut, and they bought all these ovens or whatever to roast this stuff, and it took a long time to roast all that coconut before they put it in the beer.
Yeah.
That's an effort. We don't want to work too hard for this stuff. But
yeah, I've heard horror stories from the Half Acre guys. They do that bend thick every year. And they're actually getting shredded coconut, and they have a little kitchen in their tap room, so a small oven.
Yeah.
And guys for weeks toasting coconut and throwing it in an infuser and blending it with barrel aged beer. And but I mean, it comes out that way for a reason. So
yeah,
keep doing it every year.
Yeah.
It's amazing the stories you
Never
hear
gonna
of
make it
people.
year-round beer.
Yeah, the stories you hear of people preparing ingredients to go in beers, whether it's like we have a fruit here in Florida called the
It looks almost
loquat.
like pot roast when you're done with the coconut beer.
Yeah,
That comes on the top and just solidifies.
Yeah.
You got to scrape it off the top.
Yeah, and then you got to clean that.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Well, I feel bad that we've kept you so long, but I really do appreciate you guys coming on, talking about Church Street Brewing, bringing us some great beers. Please give our thanks to Amanda it was Amanda, right, Chris, that arranged this, for arranging the beers and sending them out, or you guys, or whoever sent them out. We really appreciate it. And I really enjoyed the beers that you guys put out. Some top-notch stuff, and I'm glad I got to experience it. And I'm glad I got to chat with you guys. I hope that one day I'll make it out to that area and be able to have a beer with you.
And we got cool stickers too. We got stickers and coasters and well, fortunately for you guys, so I don't know if you just saw the hand that showed up from the side. It's my girlfriend Tina. She wanted to try this beer since it showed up. And she's originally from the south side of Chicago, so we shall see if a trip to that area doesn't happen in the near future.
Yep.
All right.
We're right next to the airport, so.
Which one? Midway or O'Hare?
Okay.
Midway or O'Hare?
O'Hare.
Okay. Yeah, she said, she stuck her head in and she goes, neither. They both suck.
All right. Well, so again, we want to thank you guys for showing up. Do you want to give out any kind of information about Church Street Brewing, how people can find you guys, and if you guys want to raise a glass? This is our chance to raise a glass to people like to raise a glass to. So who would like to raise a glass to? And of course, give us your deets.
You want this one?
Well, we're right at the intersection almost of 355 and Thorndale, or 390. Sometimes they call it the Elgin O'Hare. So if you know where that is, we actually have a second location right there at the Weston Hotel on the first floor. So,
oh wow,
we're pretty easy to find if you're familiar at all with the Chicagoland area.
Okay, so I just need a long layover then in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we do get people sometimes that are just laid over for a little while and they stop on by.
I have a good friend, Alex, who travels through O'Hare all the time on his way from Israel to here. I'll tell him to stop by the Weston and have some beers.
Yeah. Well, Ann O'Neill said that's the best beer in Illinois.
Oh,
we like the
okay.
So
thanks, Ann.
Awesome.
But you guys can check out Church Street at where'd it go? churchstreetbrew.com as far as their website goes. And I don't want to say other wrong social media stuff, but you can search them up on any social media. And I'm sure you can find them there.
It's
Facebook,
Trick or Treat
Instagram.
Brew on almost anything.
Okay. Yeah, it'll make it a little easier for everybody if they want to come check you guys out. So
Coming out to the tap room, we're open 7 days a week, from lunch till dinner, and we've got food. Like I said, we've got 40 taps, and come on out earlier in the day. Chuck and I will probably be there.
Yeah.
so that way we can sit at the bar and go, I want to know who brewed this.
Come yell at
All
me.
right.
That's when they go,
All right.
Chuck, go out there and take care of this guy. He's
Yeah.
Yeah.
busy.
So Chris, who'd like to raise a glass to tonight?
So, guys, I want to say thank you for coming on and hanging out with Denny and myself. And then, specifically for you guys brewing some great beer.
Mm.
And then
Really
Denny,
good beer.
you already mentioned Amanda Steinbreaker for helping setting all this up for us. Thank you guys for joining us, and Amanda for setting it all up. We raise a glass to you for
All right.
Yeah,
coming
cheers
to
Amanda.
hang out with us. So Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
I already raised my glass to Sean and Chuck,
Okay.
and Amanda, and
Okay.
Church Street Brewing, and John,
Okay.
and Lisa, everyone,
Okay.
I guess. But our
All right.
Patreon toast goes to Mike Allen. Thank you, Mike, for being a Patreon supporter. And also to our good friend, Jeff Seiler, who sent us a latest batch of blind beer tasting, this
We've got
time
work
in
to do.
styles. So Chris and I were going to have to go offline and do some offline tastings because we got a lot of beer to drink and taste in preparation for the next few episodes. And also, of course, being a former serviceman, I want to raise my glass. I want to thank all those who have served, who are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. I hope all those who are deployed are able to return home safely to their families very soon. And Chris, why don't you go ahead and give a toast to our sponsor?
I will definitely do that. Everybody send your bandwidth my way so I don't break up. And as Denny, as I told you in the beginning of the episode, I'm getting a new internet provider
Yes,
in
thank you.
2 or 3 days. So
Okay.
excited. So excited. Anyway, I want to raise a glass to the folks over at Tin Tackers. They are the provider of sweet metal beer signs that will make your walls happy. Tin Tackers has a vast selection of embossed aluminum beer signs, perfect for your garage, home bar, or man cave. They have the biggest selection with the best prices. They also have a mini Tacker of the Month club, a club just for craft beer lovers who collect tin tackers. A surprise in your mailbox every month. Make sure you visit their website at tintackers.com and use the promo code TAPTHECRAFT at checkout to save 10% on your entire order and to let them know we sent you.
All right, it is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening. We ask you to please tell a friend. And of course, subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Guys,